Good afternoon, Matthew. Thank you, Solemn Minded. Yeah, that is a really nice little unit, isn't it? I've got a Dometic that I really like. Dometic makes a great product too, but the big difference is having its own battery. Oh, the smoke is acrid. Let me get out the smoke here. I'm burning my eyes. Well, today's one of my favorite days of the year. We're doing a prescribed burn, burning the fence line. Conditions are perfect for it today. The RH is up 40%. Mild wind and relatively cool day. I'm in the chat here, so if you have any questions on prescribed burn or wildland firefighting, I'm your guy. Reason why I burn this fence line is it removes this fuel while it's still manageable, so that if someone starts a fire on the road, it doesn't take out the whole field, or it's less likely to. Well, I hope you're wrong, Moss, but yeah, it's inevitable. That's all right. Thing I gotta watch is make sure the fire doesn't get behind us here. It's gonna be a bad fire season, I can tell already. We definitely don't want it out here, especially burning my tripod. Maybe I'll move this camera. Let's put some water on that real quick. It's gonna be a little noisy here. Stand by for a second. Going good though. Beautiful day. Mount Fuji's out today. Yeah, East Coast man does a lot of things that's not advisable. He probably drinks the poison too. How long does it take? Well, probably about, I got a mile of fence line or so. It could take a couple days. I could get it done in a day, but I enjoy doing it, and I look busy out here, so I take my time. Yeah, I can give you a walkthrough on the QTAC. I just started the burn here, so I want to make sure there's no surprises. Let me get some trending here and then we can breathe a little bit. You gotta be careful with this fire. It's a very efficient tool, but if it gets away from you, it'll destroy you financially. Wherever the fire starts, that's the person or the entity that's responsible for all of the cost of putting it out. I think the QTAC fire skid unit is the best you can get. It's top of the line. There's no expense spared, even to the extent of the tires that they put on it are run flat tires, bulletproof tires. You can take a 3-inch hole saw and drill a hole in the sidewall of that tire and it'll still hold its shape. So little things like that, like just the best USA ingredients. Very nice. You definitely want a fire unit when you're doing this. These creosoted fence posts always catch on fire, so you got to go around and put those guys out. Those are pretty hard to put out without water. Pretty much impossible. When you do prescribed burns like this, you start with an anchor point. I mean, someplace that the fire really can't cross. So I've got an irrigation ditch over there and some big boulders. And then make sure you burn with the wind in your face. That way, when if the wind picks up, it just blows the fire back into itself where the fuel's already burnt. You do it the other way, and that wind will blow down the fence line, and in 5 minutes, it'll be away from you. Yeah, all that fire stuff is expensive. It's like just like aviation. Anything that's aviation or marine, you know, I mean, granted, it's good quality, but they mark it up 10x. Perfect day though. Nice little bit of wind to keep the fire going. It's going to be a bad fire season. It's getting dry. So much wind. You burn in strips. You do a strip like that. Come up about 10 feet or so. Do another strip. And that way it doesn't get too big. You burn little chunks, little sections. And then when it starts getting big, it runs into the other fire right behind it or in front of it. And it's got no place to go. So this is just the same way we would do a prescribed burn for a fire burnout, for a wildland fire. Yeah, I've done several videos on prescribed burns every year. This is kind of an annual thing I do. The dripper, these are made in Medford, Oregon. Cascade fire equipment, it's called a drip torch. You put a mix of 75% diesel, 25% gas. These have been used by the Forest Service for a long, long time. I'm really fortunate to have one. Drip torch is one of the leading causes of burns on the wildland fire. I don't know about that. I've never heard of that before, but I guess it's possible. There's some smooth brains on fires. You get these college kids that have never been taught anything, and they get around this equipment, and they are a hazard to themselves and to their teammates for sure. Well, we gotta... Actually, this is okay. I don't mind if this burns out here. We got some dead and down here, so we'll let this skunk along. Burn all this dry grass out. The hose, well, the hose is mobile. It's on my quad. I got 50 50 feet of high pressure line. It's pre-charged. And I've got another, in the fire bag in there, another 300 feet of 3/4 inch toy. So it's not I can put it out with a shovel if I have to. We got the water in the irrigation ditch here. I could even draft from that if I wanted to. Yeah, just burning the fence line and maybe 10, 20 feet into the field here. The field's all green, and there's not much not much to burn in here. I'll just keep an eye on this. This takes care of all the invasive weeds and does so much good for the land. I've seen one of my neighbors burn. A couple of them. They might be burning right now. Yeah, you can use anything. You can use a road flare. You can use a butane torch. This is the most cost-effective way. I got a 5-gallon jug of mixed up so I can go all day. Fire's really active now, though. A little surprised by that. Especially with the 40% RH, and I think the pig was at 48 this morning. It's down now that the sun's out. Yeah, the whole valley here is organic. So there is no spraying, no chemicals. This whole pasture here across the way is all feed for organic dairy. Belongs to my neighbor, so it's a healthy place to live. Absolutely no spraying. So fire is a good natural option, the best option. How long does a drip torch last? It depends on how much fluid you run out. So this little vent hose, by opening and closing that, controls how much diesel comes out. So you can make it last for hours if you want, or you can use it up real quick if you need to get it real hot. Yeah, the mix is diesel, 3 parts diesel, 1 part gasoline. The gasoline gives it that high flash point, so it burns easily, it reignites easy. And the diesel, when that's on the ground, that gives it some legs and it burns longer and better. Now, this drip torch was given to me by a friend who works as a wildland firefighter for the Forest Service. They were throwing it away because they got new ones. You know how the government works. And so he grabbed it and gave it to me. I burned the fence lines in the spring so that to remove the fuel, so we don't have a ripping fire when it gets hot, and any invasive species that would come out and contaminate my field. Weed control, fire control. We'll do fire videos if we have a fire. Yeah, we've been out riding KTM. The Warband went out for the first big ride last weekend. Had a great ride. I got my bike all torn apart right now, replacing some electrical stuff. But yeah, I might go for a ride this afternoon, actually. I'll probably have it put back in an hour. Let's go reposition the fire skid and put some water here on this northern line. It's time to leapfrog. I was going to do some fence repair while I'm out here, but that fire is so aggressive today. I think I'm going to have my hands full with that. How do you put the drip torch out? You can just grab it with your glove. Just suffocate it. No, a butane torch is not more efficient. It's far less efficient. One, it's expensive. You can't refill it in the field. And you have to bend over like an animal to light the fire. You have to put the flame right to the ground. So that wears you out after all day. The drip torch can be refueled in the field, and you can stand upright and use it. So don't make statements about things you don't understand. Yes, you can use these things, but to make a statement like that, it's more efficient. That's not true. If it were true, the Forest Service would have been using them for the last 50 years. Butane's more efficient. Yeah, that fire's really aggressive today. We'll let it burn to that green area, then we'll put it out. Boy, it'll get away from you quick, gentlemen. You got to really stay on top of the stuff. You let the wind come up and it's off to the races. To relight it, use pour a little diesel. See the diesel coming out there? This loop in here is like a P-trap, so it prevents the fire from going back into the can. But you just put it back in the fire and it relights. Good morning, Jerry. Welcome to the membership. That unlocks a whole another level. You have just become a member of the War Band, and now you have access to the morning live streams at 9:30 West Coast time. I hope to see you there tomorrow. You've just been admitted to one of the best group of men on the entire internet. I feel very privileged to be part of it. Hello, Joy. Nice to have you here. Wind is holding up nice. Nice to have that wind. We can stay up above it. It's really accurate. It's pretty hard on your eyes. We are burning the fence line today, David. Controlled burn. I'm going to pull that quad up. Oh, that smoke is rough. We could just drag our hose a little bit since we're in the grass. Ooh, burns the eyes. Getting soft. Been away from the fire for too long. That fence post is starting to burn. Well, that smoke's making my eyes sweat. Yeah, this is a multi-person job, certainly can be, but I just try to keep it small. Don't let it get away from me. See how that strip, how you lighten strips there? Now that will burn back to the black right behind it, and you manage it so it doesn't get too big. We'll lay in another strip right here. That's only got 6 feet to burn, and then it burns itself out. A permit? Nah, not when you have a farm. Having a registered farm or being in agriculture gives you all sorts of liberties that you don't get normally. Well, hello, ladies. You going for a walk? How are you doing, Sweet Loaf? It's going great. I'll try not to burn down the whole house, the field. Yes. The bird? Oh, that's all right. That's all by design. All right. Be careful. Yeah, I don't have a swatter, Jerry, but that's a really great tool, especially when you're burning in fields. A swatter is it's like a shovel handle, and it's got I don't know, like a 12 by 16 piece of flat rubber on it that you can just go down there and swat out the fire. Yeah, I could do this with the shovel here. I would just keep it all real small. I can go a little bit bigger with having water on hand. That QTAC's got 85 gallons, which is enough, more than enough for all day for just doing the small stuff. A flapstick? Yeah, we don't use those out west. I've actually I don't think I've ever seen one on a Type 6 ever. But that's a nice tool. I think we'll lay some more fire down. I think we're looking good. How far to the right? I've got dead grass. That's about it. I'm gonna watch that. It's taken off there to the north a little bit. If it goes any further than that, then we'll spray it down. And keep an eye on it. There shouldn't be too much fuel in there, but it might surprise me. It might go. Well, remind me, we'll check that back here in about 90 seconds. It could burn itself out. Thank you, John. Good to see Greece represented. Were you guys affected by that power outage at all? I think maybe it was Spain, Portugal, parts of France. Boy, that's really something. That should be a wake-up call to you Euros. I've not known Europeans to be into prepping all that much, and they're going to be in a hard way. You don't have any natural resources in that old country anymore. You're completely reliant upon someone else for everything you have. Most of you, anyway. No, the wood posts, they'll catch on fire. They always do. And I'll be here till sunset putting them out, but I'll just keep them sprayed down. Those are creosote soaked railroad ties, so they're pretty robust. Wally, we're burning the fence line. Fire mitigation and invasive species is something I do in the spring. I'm glad to hear you're ready. Yeah, it's I think that a lot of the Europeans, I have family over there, so I travel to Sweden and the Netherlands and Germany. It's quite often. And they watch our videos and they think preppers or preparedness people are completely insane. But that tune is changing. I've just noticed their attitude is way different than it was 20 years ago. Now they're asking advice. Let's go spray some water on that. Yeah, it'll creep. You see all that yellow grass there? If unchecked, it would creep across there. It wouldn't pick up a whole lot of steam, but it would skunk its way all the way to the river if you let it. It's called a wet line. When you wet right at the black. This valve right here is a recirculating valve that recirculates keeps the water circulating through the pump, because you'll burn up a pump, it'll heat up if you don't have that recirc on. But having the recirc on lowers your pressure, so you have to fiddle with it a little bit. Oh, look at this little sneaker. Trying to get on the other side of the road, or the ditch. You turn your back on it for a moment and it'll bite you. Looks like we put all of our fire out. How many gallons in here? Probably about 1.5 gallons or so. It's heavy. You get much more than that, it's too heavy. You got to carry these all day. Went out again, didn't it? See how it pours out. Oh, the water tank, 85 gallons. No, if it had been if it ever accidentally gets out of control, I wouldn't be here. I'd be in prison. So that's not an option. You'd be financially destroyed too when you burnt down your neighbor's house, and you'd be liable for it. What if you burnt down 10 of them? You're welcome, Duke. Yeah, fireproofing. Now, this is another thing you got to watch out for. You don't want to catch your power poles on fire. So we'll keep an eye on that. So it looks like pretty much everything to the west of the gate. I don't see any smoke coming off of that, so I think we're in pretty good shape. Yeah, we could. Question is, could we flood the field? Yeah, but it goes slow. You know, for the water, the head gate number 1 and 2 are right there, and this would be the top there. The land actually slowly grades to the north there down to the river. But for the water to get from here, it's a half a mile. My land is a half a mile across here over to the eastern border. You know, that takes about 12 hours. So it's not fast. Yeah, those underground fires are really troublesome. We don't we have that to a certain extent out west, where you get into stumps. We had fires that were burning from remember the big fire last year up on Fuji? We had fires that burnt until the snow put them out. When they get down into those big old growth root systems and stumps, there's not much you can do about it. But I've heard down south where you get into the swamps and the peat, I don't know if it's peat moss or what it is, but it's really tough on the guys to put it out. But we don't have that stuff here. Our stuff's a lot more woody. What type of knife am I carrying today? Oh, I carry the best knife in the world. The Tepfer Armory 13. This is my main squeeze right here. Best knife I ever had. Absolutely vicious. Whoops. Showing off there and drop it in the ground. Excellent knife. If I could only have one, that's one I would keep. I could write my name on the grass, I probably could. Watch. Today, I'm wearing my Garmin Sapphire 6 Phoenix and my Seiko Tuna. Toughest watch ever made right there. Yeah, isn't that a beautiful knife? The Almighty, he knows a thing or two. This is an amazing knife. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It's not the ideal EDC knife, but boy, places I can't carry a gun or it's not handy, which are not very many, I feel good having this on the waist. Such a good knife. It's beautiful. Isn't that something else? Handmade. Handmade in North Carolina. I named it Abaddon, named after the demon that guards the bottomless pit in the book of Revelation. Why 2 watches? Just flexing. You know. Does this look like the East Coast to you, brother? No, Brandon, we're definitely on the West Coast. Do they even have any empty land on the East Coast? The one thing they do have is it's infested by East Coast man. That's why I don't visit there often. EDC Pew Pew, EDC it's in the Pioneer G19X. As always, that's my main. That's all I carry anymore. Now, the reason why 2 watches is it's a constant reminder to me of never trust only one single source of information. It always reminds me, when you hear something, someone says something, oh, so-and-so did this or said this. No, the 2 watches reminds me, verify. Verify before you start spreading rumors and repeating things you heard from unreliable sources. If you hear it from 2 sources, it's probably true. I didn't start the feud with the East Coast man. He started it. That's looking good there. Got a nice clean burn. Very happy with that. Wind's changing though. Starting to come out of the east a little bit. So if it picks up at all, we'll put this out and we'll go over and reestablish an anchor point to the east and burn back into this fire. I'm not burning on the other side of the ditch because a local contractor, actually I know that friends of mine are getting ready to repave the county road here, and they're putting in a new water main, and the guys are working over there. So I don't want to have any trouble or cause them problems. If that smoke changes too, I'll put this fire out because I don't want them breathing smoke while they're working all day. The East Coast, giving the East Coast man a hard time, it's all just for fun. It's not real. It's just a back and forth. You give the guys that you like a hard time. That's how men work. Yeah, I think I agree. Bring my water buggy closer. Thank you, TLC, for the reminder. I'm going to do exactly that. Let's go do that. I guess I can leave this torch over here. Don't need to be packing it around. No, it's not real. I don't have anything against the East Coast man. He lives in his own personal hell. What can I add to it that's any worse than his own existence? Breaking balls. Yes, exactly. That's all it is. Don't see any smokes over there. Don't have any fence posts burning. Stay here long enough, there's a good chance that my local fire chief will come over here and give me some hassle. We'll put him on blast. Last year he was out there skulking around taking photos. The torch, yeah, if it, that's why it's got that loop in it. So let's say it did fall over, it gets kicked over, it'll just basically burn out the fuel that's in the end of the line. You got to keep, you got to keep tipping it. It's a really clever design. It's actually quite safe. Yeah, you got it when you have a fire skid that's got to be kind of fast attack, as we call it. You have to have a fully charged line all the time, and the only way you can do that is with a hard line, because most of the fire hose that we use is all collapsible, so you can't roll it up, so most engines are going to have a hard line that you can keep charged for this sort of thing, so you can kind of pump and roll. Yeah, that would make some good content if he comes over here, and well, hopefully not. We know what we're doing around here. It's a 3-to-1 mix of diesel fuel, 3 parts diesel fuel, 1 part gasoline. So it went out there, so I just pour a little diesel on there, and then you can just touch the fire and it'll go. It's a really neat tool. The term for this, when you're in the wildland doing this or burnouts, is putting fire on the ground. That's the old term. I'm not going to call him. Him and I don't know that we're friends. Our problem started is, when the warband, we were down at the river, and we'd have a little fire down there in the morning to get warm when we got out of the river. And he accosted me in the store one day, and threatened me about having a fire, and that kind of got my nose out of joint over that. I didn't need a dandy for a little warming fire. It kept in a fire ring. I have to say, both. What you'll find, I think most people understand this. A lot of guys that get into fire are I think that they secretly would like to be arsonists. So I have to say I like both. I like to understand it. I think it's cool to have the knowledge on how to control it, how to use it as a tool, not to be afraid of it. So I think all aspects of it are interesting. It's common for firefighters to actually start fires. I've known of this. I've seen it. Maybe not seen it, but I'm aware of it, so that they have something to do. The thing with the fire departments are, it's the fire department. It's time for those guys to. There shouldn't be municipal fire departments, in my opinion. What they cost to man these stations with the expensive apparatus, because there's very few fires anymore because of modern building codes, sprinkler systems, etc. So to keep themselves in a job, they've had to move over to medical. That's why there's paramedics on engines now. So I think that could all be privatized. My goodness, even if you just didn't do anything and you just took the money that you spent on the fire department and put it into a fund, and just when someone's house burnt down, you just replaced it, you would be far, far ahead. But anytime there's a fund like that, then somebody in the government would steal from it for some pet project, so that would never work. A problem as old as time. No, I don't irrigate the field. Actually, the irrigation water just came in last week, and I irrigated 24 hours the lower gate to all the tiny forest, and I got that all prepped. Plus, I got 750 trees to put in here probably tomorrow. Get started on that, and so I softened it up. But no, it's still pretty green. I'll probably start the irrigation, yeah, maybe this weekend. I haven't been hunting for many years. We could hunt right here on the land. We've got a herd of elk, deer here about every night. And I have such a soft heart about animals. I grew up hunting. I've killed a lot of animals. Lots of elk and deer and cougar and bear and coyotes, all that stuff. Birds. Hunted and fished my whole life. Nothing but doing that. But mostly because I grew up in a family that did that, and that was my grandfather's favorite thing in the whole world to do, and I just idolized him, so I wanted to be like him. But when I got a little bit older, I still did it, but I just don't really have the heart for it. It saddens me. I'm not against it. I think hunting is an excellent thing. Not at all against it. For harvesting meat responsibly, absolutely. But I would do it out of necessity, but I'm not going to do it as a hobby. No, we don't need to get any permission. No, I don't live in Utah. I only have one wife. Shout out to our Mormon friends, of course. Should we take a Kestrel reading? I think that's a very good idea. I have not checked the RH. The wind's going to be drying things out. Let's go do that. I always say I have the smartest subscribers on the whole internet. Very good time to take a Kestrel reading. Oh, was I much of a fisherman? It was my life. From 14 up into my mid-20s. I used to guide, had my own jet boat, made my own fishing rods, tied my own flies, made my own lures, sold lures, fished all over the West. I lived and breathed fishing for a decade. It was the most important thing in life to me. All right, let's get this thing a minute to acclimate and we'll see what's what here. Got the wind coming out of the southeast. Can't run this with my gloves on. Yeah, wind's about 2. But the most important thing, temperature 68, so it's warming up. It's 30, what was it, 40 this morning? Humidity, Your humidity is going to be reading a little bit higher than it actually is because I've got an irrigation running right there. And you can't take really accurate RH readings next to water sources. They'll throw them off. The PIG went from 40 to 50. So the PIG stands for the probability of ignition, and that's at 50%. What that means is if you were to section off a piece of the area that you're burning 12 by 12, it's the probability if an airborne ember were to land on that it would ignite. And there's a 50% chance of that. So that's still reasonably low. When you get into extreme fire season, you're going to see RH's, relative humidities, into the single digits, and PIGs at 90% plus. So the PIG, how that's acquired is the meter will take a combination of readings, different things, elevation, temperature, altitude, all depends on topography. There's a lot of science to it. You can estimate how a fire will spread, how quickly, and what it'll do by punching in some data. Temperature, RH, aspect, whether you're north, south, east, or west, fuel loads, wind, all those things, and you can really accurately predict what a fire will do and how quickly it'll spread. That's what getting into the managerial part of it, and they need that. Let's say we got a fire burning on Fuji up there. They need to know, when is it going to reach town, and they can take those readings and get it pretty good. Yeah, see the PIGs jumped up 60 right here while we were watching it. So that means that the wind is drying it out. The wind's pushing the humidity out of here, and it's getting drier. But we're good. Yeah, you should be taking a reading when you're doing fire, not for a little piddly stuff like on the hour. We would have on a wildland fire crew, if I was had a task force, I would assign one guy to go to a high point where he could see the fire, and he would have either a bellwether kit the old school way or a new, like a computer like this, and he would actually be doing the weather on the hour, broadcasting it and watching over the crews for any changes. And there are trigger points, different things. So let's say you're in there fighting fire. When you're in there, you can't see what's going on. So you would either use an aircraft or you would have a guy climb up to a high point and look and watch. And as soon as he starts seeing some things that are problems, like torching, meaning that the fire will lay down at night. The fire burns hottest between 10 and 2. That's when the RH is driven down. And that's where it really becomes extreme. So it's common to see on a fire at 10 o'clock or so, when the sun comes out, dries everything up, you'll start seeing single trees torching. They'll blow up, and you'll see the flame just shoot out of the top of them. And then when you start getting into group torching, where multiple groups and bunches of trees do it, that's when you have extremely dangerous fire behavior. And when you see that group torching, that's a trigger point. That's when you pull out and you get your guys out. Yeah, this is actually, Kestrel actually makes this one. This one is actually made for wildland fire. This is the Fire Weather Pro. Yeah, canopy type, they're actually called crown fires, and they are scary. I saw a crown fire probably 12 years ago that was on up there, right up here, through old growth forest that was moving at probably close to 50 miles an hour. Like if you were in there, you could never outrun it. Beliefs in hell? Well, I don't have to have beliefs. I have what the scripture says. There is a final destruction for the wicked. Hell was never made for people. It was designed for the adversary. And the teaching of an eternal hell where God supernaturally keeps people alive to torment them forever is a false doctrine, and it's not true. It's true that there will be people that don't seek refuge in Jesus Christ who will pay for their sins with death, but it's a final destruction. It's not a supernatural torment. If I thought for a moment that a God would supernaturally keep someone alive to torture them forever and ever, I would not serve him. That would be diabolical and beyond sadistic. That's a man-made teaching that is not true, not scripturally true. We get into these details on the Bible study in the morning. I do a morning Bible study with the War Band. If you become a member, you get access to that. I'm running out of fuel here, but I've got another 5 gallons of fuel mixed up in the back. So it's getting a little bit low. We'll refill here in a bit. I can prove from the scriptures what I say is true. We're going to be doing a study on that actually pretty soon. Thank you, Born 2. It's good to have you here. We got a little jackpot over there. I'll keep an eye on that so it doesn't jump the road. This is a 3-to-1 mixed diesel, 3 parts diesel, 1 part gas. No, I don't call the fire department. What are they gonna do? Come over here and write me a ticket? Oh, there will be a final destruction for the godless and for the adversary. But you need not go there. Yeah, this is how the U.S. Forest Service. The fire chief is a young guy too. I was probably fighting wildland fire when he was in diapers. Oh, I've become a boomer. Goodness, we've got a super chat from Xavier, who's got a question. Let's see here. Let's do this right. Let me take you off the mothership. Give you a face-to-face. I have an active quarter. I bought a 1993 Remington 870 with an 18.5 barrel. Very nice, good choice. Yeah, that's a good one. After Remington was purchased by the Freedom Group, they really went downhill. They're not what they used to be, but those old ones, I have one. I have the pre-Freedom Group as well, and those are the best of the best. But that's a really nice one. I got the same one you do. Thank you for that super chat. Oh, so there's a question on why do I pour the way that we do? So what we do is, you see the winds blows the fire back that way. So you always start downwind. And the reason why I don't just walk the fence line is because I want to do strips. So what we'll do is we'll pour a strip here. And then I'll move up 10 feet. And I'll pour another strip. Now the reason why I do that is now the fire will be pushed back by the wind and it can't get too big. It'll burn. If it starts getting flaming up and getting high, it'll burn through that flashy fuel, and then it'll hit the area that's already burnt up and go out because there's nothing left for it to burn. So you burn in strips so that you can manage and control the fire. But that's a good question. Goodness, we have a super chat from Simon. Let me take you off the mothership here. I'm working with one hand. Thank you, Simon. Simon says he's from Australia, Europe. I know where Australia is. I really like your channel, learned a lot, and look up. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Very kind of you. Thanks for joining our stream here today. We're just about done here. We're going to burn to this fence line, and then I'm going to shut down the stream. The fire's really kicking up over there. We're gonna watch that. I'm gonna stay out of the smoke, but you see that? It might jump the road. Don't let me forget that. There's a lot of fuel over there. Oh, the ride with Jack, we had a great time. It was early in the season, but it was so good. He actually, he'll be home for college. He's doing fire again this year. But we're gonna, Mrs. W are gonna go, and I'm gonna pick him up, I think, next Wednesday at college. It's about 2.5 hours away, and help him move out of his dorm room. and he's going to be coming back here. We'll probably put him up in the cabin, or maybe it's up to him. I believe that we keep Jack's room, and we let him know that this is his house, and he'll always be welcome here. I'm not like the boomers where get out of my house and go pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I think a family needs to work together. So he knows that he always will be welcome here. He's my firstborn. Yeah, the water that comes off of here, that's what we drink. It's the finest water I've ever had in my life. It's filtered through miles and miles of volcanic lava tubes and tunnels. It's so pure and so delicious and so cold. I actually take it when I travel. I take it with me. I'm not going to buy water at a gas station. Oh yeah, fence posts catch on fire all the time. I'm surprised we haven't had that we don't have to put one out now. Yeah. Boy, it was, this year, getting the moto gear, Jack went off to college in the fall for the first time. He left the home. And this spring, when I was getting all the the bikes together and all the gear together, it was really sad, emotional time. He was pulling out all of his old helmets and his riding gear. Oh, we crossed the road. We got a fire. We got a problem, gentlemen. Got to move quick. That are really taking off. Little excitement there. Yeah, the world's toughest watch. I'd make the argument that the Seiko tuna would definitely be in the top 2, maybe the toughest watch in the world right here. It's a very interesting history of how the Seiko tuna was invented and created. It actually has a full heavy-duty metal shroud around it that's bolted on. It's really, it's a lot of watch though. It's not for everyone. It's pretty heavy. Like I can't ride my dirt bike with it. It just beats up my arm. Yeah, not everyone does it. A lot of people just let their weeds grow, but I like to keep nice clean fence lines, and when you got to repair them and they're all full of weeds and brush, they're hard to look after. So this is a really good way if you do this once a year, it keeps them manageable. Nope, that's not Mr. Dry. There's a utility company putting in a new water main. So I think that's the porta potty for the construction guys, and there's a flagger here. Yeah, just a coincidence. Main purpose of the fence fire is to remove invasive species, to remove fuel so that we don't have a fire that gets out of control in the summertime. A lot of fires are started on the road because people will drag trailer chains and they make sparks. And if you have unburned grass, that will take off and burn down your whole field. Not here because we have an irrigated field. It's green all the time. But in places where it's dry, it's really a problem. 5125-21252. Good to see you here, brother. Oh, how I've missed these. I've been working my tail off and I've only been around to catch up after the fact. It's good to see you here. Always great to see you. We have a super chat also. I better take that here. Let me take my glove off. Put some respect on Tango 165. give you face to maybe out of the sun. What you said about Jack always being welcome at home, is always having a home, was possibly one of the most profound things I've ever heard you say. Yeah, I was raised by the boomers, and I remember like at 18, it was kind of like, well, what are you going to do now? It's time for you to leave. You never really felt like you were living in your own home, like you were living in someone else's home. And that was just kind of the way that they were. They thought they were not doing you favors by helping you out, but that's not the way it is. Life is so hard these days. It's so expensive to try to get into a home, and for a guy to get started and get a young family getting started. The only way for you to get ahead is to have the whole family pulling together. One of the biggest tricks of the adversary has taught this individuality, this American individuality, where you need to go and reinvent the wheel every generation. You can never build wealth. You can never get ahead when you are able to build off of what your great-grandfather did. Let's say you have a family homestead. He builds a barn and an irrigation system, and then his son builds a house, and then his son buys a couple tractors. Well, when the great-great-grandson comes in, not only does he have the knowledge that has been passed down by his grandfather and father, but he has an infrastructure so that he can improve upon it and actually get some traction and build some wealth in life. But when you leave your family home and you got to go out and start over, and you just every time every generation's got to just struggle and reinvent the wheel, and you never ever get ahead. So that cycle is very destructive and needs to be ended. Families need to pull together, live together, and help one another out, because it's the only way. But thank you for that super chat. Well, it's going to happen, not necessarily because people want to. It's going to happen out of necessity, because it's not going to be possible. That's always the way it's been. This notion of having your own McMansion, your own home, and some quads, motorcycles, ski boats. That's never been possible ever. The gulf between the haves and the have-nots have always been very, very wide. There's never been a middle class. A middle class was a once in a lifetime. A very interesting time in the history of man. It was in America post World War II, and I'll go put it out. Thank you. We have a little mission, gentlemen. You ask about fence posts? We got one burning. I think we could probably reach it from here. We're gonna have to drive over there. I can't quite reach the backside of it. Yes, love. Okay, I'm gonna go over there and put that out. Do you want to spray the fire hose? Okay. How you doing, old girl? You find some shade? Old Lucy's getting old in his pants. All right, off you go. Look out. She's not about to leave that shade, is she? Let's drive over there and soak that fence post down. Yes, that was Miss Pants. Best dog in the whole world. Yeah, she's, I don't know how old she's, 12, 14 or so. That's probably about right. Yeah, she's burning. Sweet Loaf was quite concerned about that post being on fire. This one's got a little rod in it, so it's got a hollow. That's how that fire got started in there. Well, I spent many nights, weeks, running fence lights with my Type 6 engine, putting out miles and miles of fence posts. Not the most enjoyable detail. Yeah, that's got some heat in there. That old creosote, it'll burn. I should probably step over and push some water up into that. This is going to need replacing next year. That'll get it. Maybe. That might start again. We'll keep an eye on that. Well, this little fire skid couldn't be better for this task. Just tailor-made for this type of work. Real blessing to have a nice piece of equipment like this. So I'm looking forward to Jack being home. I don't know what the fire season will bring, but he might be out all summer. But he might have a week or two off. If so, we're gonna get a lot of motor riding in. Do I feel as though I got stuck with a fence when you bought property? No, I feel grateful to have a fence that I don't have to put in. It's already there. It's a lot of work to put in a fence like this. Yep, old railroad ties. That's exactly what they are. I don't know how much this fire skid cost. I got it, they gave it to me. QTAC is a fan of the channel, and the guys that own it watch my videos, and they donated it to me. And I've done several videos for them, but they're really nice guys, good company. But I'm not sure how much they cost. They're probably 10, 12 grand if I had to guess. Greetings from Serbia. We love our Serbian friends. I've never been to Russia, but it would be probably in my top 5 places I'd like to visit. Oh, drip torch is dripping out. I have a lot of Russian friends, so I'm real familiar with the culture. $8,000? Okay, yeah, I was a little high on that. So 8,000, is that for the QTAC 85 gallon? 8,000. Yeah, that's a fair price for one for sure. I thought it'd be more. We're just about to the end of our burn today. I'm not going to burn the eastern fence line because the guys are working down there and I don't want to get in their way. Serbia. Siberia? Is there a difference? Man, I'm American. We don't know anything about geography. Americans think they're at the center of the universe. The QTAC 85 without the trailer is 5,000. Yeah, so if you didn't want the trailer, see, this is with 4 bolts. I can have this off and put it in the back of my truck, and have kind of a light duty Type 6, or maybe more of a Type. I guess it would be a I guess it'd be a light duty Type 6. Oh, Serbia is closer to Greece. Oh, yeah. I'm always the last to know when it comes to geography. I didn't know that. I've never been there. I do know that. Yeah, we still do the morning lives. They're at 9:30 this morning. We do it every morning, Monday through Friday. And we don't cook though. No more cooking, no more coffee. I'm up at 4, so I have coffee way before that starts anymore. Yeah, I feel that same way. I don't like to travel anymore, especially the older I get. Where am I going to go that I haven't already seen? You know what I'm saying? This is my home. I go to bed at 9 and I wake up at 4. I go to bed at 9, wake up at 4, and I hit the gym at about 6, which from 4 to 6, I usually read a little bit of news, have some coffee, just enjoy a couple hours to by the time you get up and dress, it's an hour and a half to yourself, and then I go into the gym till about 8 or so, and then I have breakfast and shower, and then do the live stream at 9:30, and that lasts for 1 hour, and then I start with normal content or whatever, chores, whatever we're doing around. Dinner at 5:30, and I'm to bed by 8:30, 9 at the latest. Toothless she's the apple of my eye. Her and I are like peas and carrots. She's the sweetest little thing. A total demon.